In previous video, we have seen how to pass objects as parameters to methods, copy constructor, and returning objects from methods. Now, let us see call by reference. In general, there are two ways to pass arguments to methods. One, call by value, another one, call by reference. Java passes everything by value, including references. If we pass primitive type data to methods, then it will work like call by value. We have already seen call by value. If reference type or objects are passed to methods, it will work like call by reference. Let us check with the example. This is the dog class. For simplicity, I am using only one instance variable name, and this is the constructor. Here I am taking another class pass by reference demo with main method. Let us create one dog object with name Max and assign it with the reference variable my dog. Let us print the name of the dog. If we run this, we are getting Max as name. Let us understand what happened. When this statement executed, one dog object will be created in heap area. Let's assume its address 1000. It will be assigned to reference variable my dog. In program we have written it as capital D. So now this my dog reference is pointing to this object. Let us pass this my dog object to one method. Let's call it as modify. Let's assume that method as instance method in the dog class. So we need to call with the object. For this we need to pass the my dog object. Let us create one method modify with dog object as parameter in my dog class. Parameter reference type, here it is dog. When this call is made to modify method, on top of this main method activation record, another activation record will be created for modify method. In this modify method activation record, we have this parameter D, which is like local variable to this modify method. The value of my dog, this 1000, will be copied into this D. Now it will get 1000 here. So now D is also pointing to the, now with this reference D we can access the object fields. Suppose if we want to update dog name, then we can do like this. With D we are updating this name, so now it will be Joy. From this main method, if we print the my dog name, let us run it again. Now we got this output after modification name Joy. So when we pass object reference as argument to the method as a parameter, the parameter which is there within that method is also referencing the same object. This parameter D and this argument my dog, both references are pointing to the same dog object. So when we make the changes to this object with this reference D affected here, that is the reason when we access this object with the my dog reference, those changes are reflected. Previously we have seen when we pass the primitive data from the main to the method, that changes not reflected in the main, but here that changes made to that object reflected in the main method also. That is why when objects are passed in Java as a parameters to method, we are calling it as a call by reference. But this is not true call by reference. Instead of modifying object data with reference D, suppose if we create new object with name Fifi and assign it with the reference D, then what will happen? Like this, one more new object will be created. Let's assume its address is 2000. 2000 address will be assigned to this reference D. Now D is no longer pointing to this first object, now it is pointing to this newly created object. Will this changes reflected in the main method or not? If Java truly uses call by reference to pass the reference types, changes made to the reference D needs to be reflected in the main method also. Let us check this. Previously D is pointing to first object, so its name is Joy. Now we created new dog object with Fifi name that is assigned to D. So again we are printing my dog.name. Let's see output. Let us save this. Let's see the output. Still it is printing the Joy, not the Fifi. Since this my dog reference is pointing to this first object, its name was Max. Within that modify method we modify it to Joy, so it is printing this name Joy. Within the same modify method we updated this D reference with new object, so we can conclude that this reference value 1000 is passed here. At the time this is also pointing to the same object. When we assign this D with the new object reference, now this D is now pointing to this, not this. When we make any changes to this D, those changes are not reflected here. This parameter value and this argument value both are completely different here. But when we are accessing the object fields, they are reflected in the main. So in Java, object references are passed as values. There my dog value, that is 1000, copied into D. The changes made to this D not affected here. But when we are accessing object fields with this reference D, those are reflected in main method also, since both D and my dog references both are pointing to the same dog object. Suppose if we write the same program in C++, this is the equivalent CPP program to that Java program. Here we have modify reference method which is accepting dog reference. In this main method we are calling modify reference with this dog reference. We are creating new dog with name Fifi and we are assigning its address to this parameter dog. After this new assignment, if we try to print the my dog name in C++, it will print the Fifi, not Joy. Let us check that. Compiled. Let us run this. Original name Max. Within the method we are assigning Joy. After that we are creating new object with Fifi name. That name we printed in the main method. After modification in main method we got this output. From this we can conclude that if we make any changes to this reference like this, those changes are reflected in this main method. Let us see the conclusion. Java passes everything by value, including references also. When an object reference is passed to a method, the reference itself is passed by use of the call by value. The parameter that receives it, in our case that is D, will refer to the same object as that referred by the argument. Our argument is my dog. Both are referring to the same object. So changes made to the object fields by the parameter D will reflect in main. But when we change the reference itself, those will not be reflected in the main. But in CPP, if we make any changes to that reference itself, those will be reflected in main method also. So we can conclude that Java passes everything by value.